about to listen to the Dr. Daliah Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Daliah Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Daliah.
All right, we are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Dr. Daliah, 1-877 DOCDALI. So I would have patients who would never talk to their siblings, never talk to their family. They just couldn't stand each other. And then I would have many patients who were Latino or Hispanic, and their whole family lived fairly close to each other. Mom might have even lived with them, or dad might have lived with them, or they might have had houses next to each other. And the family support that they would have was strong. And, I remember I had one patient, non-Latina, who was talking to me about, my mom lives with us. And I'm like, or my mother-in-law lives with us. I'm like, well, how is that working out? They go, it's great because she's our live-in nanny. She babysits for us. And I've been watching this TV show. I'm late to the party. It's called The Righteous Gemstones. I'm on season 2. My friend Jerry told me about it, and he has amazing taste as it. He's been on the show, Jerry Lambert, a great author. He said I would like this. And so he told me to watch The Righteous Gemstones. And basically, it's this family. For those of you who know, this isn't a spoiler alert, but, it's a family that does missionary work and owns churches and has this big, presence in the religious world. But the family doesn't get along, and the family hates each other. The kids hate each other. Yet every time one of them needs another one, boy, do they know how to pull together. And you're watching this, and I'm only on season 2. I understand there's 4 seasons. It just ended the whole series last week. But I see this all the time in real life, where families who need each other do better. And I'm wondering, for those families whose siblings or nieces or nephews or whatever, where there's such a disconnect and dysfunctionality, if they, in a way, had created this family unit that relied on each other. We don't want dependency or codependency. But if rather than going to outside people, you created a family network where you guys had this very strong lattice and foundation, would you be closer? Now, I allow people to be very, very open with me. And I'm like, look, did they get on your nerves? How? Yes. All right. And many, families that may live in the same household or compound or whatever may. But because they need each other and rely on each other and everybody's benefiting, that's the key. Everybody has to benefit. You can't have a freeloader or somebody that drives everybody crazy or is toxic. But if everybody seems to be benefiting, it's very strong. Now, I have 2 sons, and thank God they're close. And if one ever moves, I really hope both of them can still always stay close. And I think them having each other, and that's the reason why I had to. I mean, I had Stone, and I loved him so much. I'm like, why would I even split my love, share my attention? But then I realized if I really loved Stone, I would give him a brother. So he wasn't on this earth alone if me and Daddy left. Left for new kids. It's so funny. I'm like, what do you guys want for Hanukkah and Christmas? A new mommy. Okay, see ya. Mom, what do you want? I want new sons. No, but I love them dearly. And when you rely on each other and you work together, yet still have independence, I think the bonds are better. On having a dysfunctional family myself, there's always like, well, I haven't heard from so-and-so. I haven't heard from so-and-so. Well, it's because he needs something. Yeah, and I get it. That's common, by the way. You may not hear from somebody until they need help. And then all of a sudden, like you see on The Righteous Gemstones, they can then combine forces when somebody needs something. And that happens in Hollywood and it happens in real life. And maybe that's what does also allow that in. If there's a family member, see, everybody knows in my family, if you want to get on my good side, okay, stop being toxic, stop talking crap about me, but you have me. All you have to say is, I need help. What okay, I'm listening. And so, yes, it is an in, but I'm wondering if part of the loss we have with our family units, in addition to people being able to move and people feeling there's a choice. See, you used to not have a choice. Your family was your family. You couldn't choose your family. And so this choice of, I'm not going to take care of my dad or my mom, that didn't exist. That was your duty. They couldn't be welfares of the state. If you don't take care of them, nobody does. And so, yes, the family had to pull together. And there were also larger families. Now that families are smaller, they're spread out. I hate my family, so I don't have to be, around them. Things have changed. For some people for the better, for other people for the worse. But for those of you trying to figure out how to unite your dysfunctional family, and I get it, you can't include the toxic people all the time, but figure out a way where you guys can help each other. Because there's strength in numbers, and family bonds could be very, very strong. I find it fascinating that many of us are closer to friends than we are our siblings. Is it because of history? Is it because you guys are too much alike so you don't like each other? Is it because you get on each other's nerves? What is it? But there's a bond there. And that bond can be very, very valuable and very strong. And so for those of you going, I don't know how to unite the family, maybe unite them. I'm not saying start a business, because there's always somebody that doesn't do jack, or somebody who steals, or somebody that grabs somebody's butt. Okay, that stuff always seems to happen. But if there is a project or something where you guys can work together, do that. If there are babysitting duties or things like that, the families that rely on each other and work together, I think are stronger. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH. Don't go away.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by right now to answer your questions for free. They'll tell you if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-710-5100. I'm here with spokesman John Wolf. So, John, tell our listeners who should call right now.
Well, Maria, first off, thank you for having me join you to answer the listeners' questions. Now, as far as who should call in, anyone who's been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, give us a call right now and find out how much your case is potentially worth. Call 800-710-5100.
Thanks, John. You heard it, folks. If you think you deserve compensation, call now to find out how much you qualify for. 800-710-5100.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center. May not be available in all states.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
Hot Shot Secret Stiction Eliminator.
Stiction, that sticky friction, undermines the performance of diesel engines. Third-party ASTM testing verifies that Stiction Eliminator removes 2 times as much stiction than any alternative on the retail shelf. Stiction Eliminator is formulated to be left in the engine oil. It works as you drive.
Available at truck stops, Tractor Supply, O'Reilly's Auto Parts, and online at HotShotSecret.com. Hot Shot Secret. Powered by science.
In a study, it was found that 33% of 44 herbal supplements had no trace of the advertised herb. Don't let that happen to you. Hi, this is Dr. Mitch. If you want to ensure quality, please go to TotalWellness.com. Supplements made for physicians, only now available to you too. TotalWellness.com, helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Dr. 1-877-DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer. And big thanks to you all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Daliah, Facebook, The Dr. Daliah Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So I talk to a lot of Gen Zs because my kids are Gen Zs and their friends are Gen Zs, and I work with students. And their thinking is much different than mine, and I'm Gen X, and most of my friends are Gen X or baby boomers. And so, although I am friends with millennials too, but it's interesting how Gen X's and baby boomers are still kind of closer, and than Gen Zs and millennials are to us. But one thing that was kind of against my is it mantra? Your kind of your path of success was the idea of, in my generation, if you looked like you were job hopping and you couldn't keep a job longer than a year or two, something's wrong with you. So for my generation, if we're looking at your resume and I'm hiring a nurse, and this nurse has been in 5 different doctor's offices in the last 2 years, I'm like, something's not right. And, I want some longevity. Well, the Gen Zs are telling me, no, boomer. I'm not a boomer. Not a boomer, people. No. You need to lily pad and leapfrog off different jobs. And if you only have 1 job on your resume, the Gen Zs are telling me, or 2 jobs, then that looks bad. Where employers want to see that you've worked at multiple companies and that you've gained a lot of experience and that you have progressed. Now, Gen Zs aren't stupid and they're not wrong. If an employer is looking for somebody who's middle-aged that was working at a company for 30 years, then maybe they'll like that. But if they want somebody that's a little bit more versatile, a little bit more tech savvy, that isn't going to be so rigid in what they did for 30 years and understands that, okay, well, they've been in multiple places, so they know the different software. They obviously have to learn the new software. They obviously have to learn the new, tech and learn how sometimes having a very anemic resume in terms of content and numbers, not in terms of quality, but in terms of quantity, could hurt. So a lot of Gen Zs are, all right, it's been a year or two, I got to start finding a new job. And I'm like, no, what, do you like your job? Well, yeah, but that's not the point. And I go, why would you be giving this job up? You like your job, you're making good money, are you getting good experience? Are you growing? Yes, but my resume is going to look bad if I look like I'm in one place, for too long. So there's an article saying, according to Fortune magazine, sorry, Gen Z, the days of job hopping salary hikes are over. For the first time in 10 years, staying loyal pays just well. Now, one of the reasons the Gen Zs would do that was for a bump up in pay. And mind you, if you look at what's been happening over the last few years, pay has been going up. So a big problem employers are having is their loyal, longtime employees that they hired at $7 an hour and maybe have, through promotions or raises, made it to $12, $15 an hour. Now, in 2024, 2025, new hires are making $20 an hour. So, if you're Gen Z, you know that it's going to be a higher starting salary. So you keep jumping. They're not stupid. Gen Zs are not stupid. And some of them have been able to fast track their way up the career ladder by doing this, back and forth hopping or zigzagging. But they're saying now that workers who stayed put at their jobs received a 4.6% wage bump in January and February, then those who switched gigs only receiving marginally higher increase of 4.8%. Now, this is according to new data from Atlanta Fed. And they said this financial opportunity gap is closing fast. The salary difference between people who stayed in their jobs and those who switch is currently at the lowest level it's been in 10 years. So why? Why are now loyal people that were hired at lower pay starting to do better? Well, maybe it's because employers are smart. They're training people that are quitting in 12 months or 18 months or less. And you have somebody loyal saying, look, pay me what you're paying these new people starting out. It's still going to be more than what I'm making, and I already know how to do the job. And so I think a lot of people are looking internally, saying, we're going to work with what we have, and we're going to make you happy so you don't quit. Now, for those of you trying to advance in medicine, medicine's different. We need to know that you understand the pathology. If you're doing dermatology and you want to switch to family medicine, the longer you've been away from family medicine, that could hurt. So obviously, if you grab that dermatology job because you really wanted family medicine, you needed to work until you found something, obviously the shorter amount of time away from the trade that you want to do or the specialty you want to do is better. But for the most part, you could learn the electronic health system. You could learn the corporate BS. It's different. So longevity and loyalty and knowing that you're not going to quit, that we could rely on you and patients could rely on you is helpful. But a lot of individuals are looking now at what they have and what they're, and it's a little tricky, especially since hundreds of thousands of federal workers are going to be joining the workplace. So federal workers about to lose their job are going to change some of your abilities depending on and your options. So if you like your job, if you're making good money, if you see that there's growth, if it is helping your career, you don't necessarily have to jump, according to this one study. But if you're not growing, if the only people getting promoted are those who are younger or prettier or fitting a certain checking a certain box, or if you don't think you're going to grow, you really got to consider getting out of it. And I have seen so many people sit and get into a rut because it's safe. I guess they used to call it the golden shackles, where you get comfortable, you get paid enough, and you're too scared to leave that to go and do something else. You know how many people thought I was crazy to cut back on my medical practice to do radio? And then to do a full-time radio show? People thought I was absolutely insane. They're like, you make more money as a doctor. But that's not what I wanted for my whole career. I wanted to teach more. I wanted to entertain. I wanted to do radio. Everybody knows radio doesn't pay well. And yes, I would be making much more money as a doctor. But that's not where I wanted my career to go. And so I sacrificed money in order to do what I wanted. And I'm still seeing patients, trust me. I'm doing telemedicine, and I see an average of, 600 to 800 a month. So I'm busy. Trust me, I'm seeing patients. But it's not, a big, family medicine practice with PAs and patients coming in 6 days a week. No, I'm not doing that anymore. And I'm happy I'm not. But you only have one life to live. And if you want to avoid that midlife crisis, what you need to do is you need to look at what you've done, what you want to do, and figure out how you can still either make your dreams come true or feel fulfilled or feel like you're doing what you are on this earth to do ethically and good. Okay, we don't want you guys doing anything bad. And yes, it is really hard to walk away from money, especially with how expensive things are. So sometimes you don't have to. As I've said, if you want to be an author, you could be an author. You could, on your days off, easily write a book, upload it to Amazon, doesn't cost you any money. That's why I have so many books. I didn't have to hire a publisher. Now, mind you, I don't have New York Times bestsellers, but I don't care. I just wanted there to be a book that could teach people. I'm not looking for fame by being on the New York Times bestsellers list. You want to be an author, you could be an author. You want to write a song, you can write a song. You want to perform. You can perform, even if there's not a stage that you have access to. You could perform online. You could start your own YouTube channel. If you want to sing, sing. If you want to recite poetry. You know, there's somebody making a lot of money by having the camera on them when they study. And students are studying with them. This way they don't have to study alone. So there's this kid and his cat, and all you do hours on end is see him study. Smart. 1-877-Daliah.
Hi guys, Dr. Daliah here. Addictions can sneak up on us and come in many forms, whether it's drugs, alcohol, sex, video games, porn, or something less obvious such as food, internet, or shopping. Addiction can seem innocent at first and then evolve into an insurmountable evil. In our book, Addiction Basics, Caitlin Kalikas and I dive into the common addictions and provide tips for identifying and preventing these before they sneak in and take over our lives. Addiction Basics can be found on Amazon or my website, drdaliah.com. Check it out.
Lisa Wolf here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you. And be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
All right, we are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Daliah, 1-877-DOCDALI. Cecilia writes that she found another epidemic I didn't think of that we have, and that's misery. That Americans are thriving on being miserable, and everybody that's around her seems to be miserable. And so I guess I was talking about epidemics and pain epidemics and, COVID epidemics. And, that's actually an interesting point. Thank you, Cecilia. And for those of you that do want to reach out with your comments, go to drdaliah.com or write us on Twitter or Facebook or YouTube. And so, do we have a misery epidemic? Are people miserable? Is America a miserable country? I think I don't even want to think that that's the case, because thinking about what my family went through during Nazi Germany and having to flee Germany and Austria and my family in concentration camps, I'm like, really? You guys are miserable with your Netflix and your iPhones? Really? But I do look around and people just seem to be miserable. Why? What do they have to be miserable about? There's snack machines everywhere. There's, candy given out. Right? You could go to a store and, there's candy sitting there for free. It used to not be that way. There's air conditioning. My mom grew up in Phoenix, Arizona with a swamp cooler. Okay, the majority of you guys have air conditioning. Why are you miserable? Well, is it because of online and social media? You're seeing what other people have? And you're like, well, you want that too? Is it because you let politics get into your life? And you're upset that you lost and Trump won? Or you're upset that Biden won? And what is actually making you miserable? Is it you're married to somebody you don't want to be married to? Is it that you don't like your job? If you're miserable, you need to fix that right away. You don't have any time to waste. In the blink of an eye, we're on this earth to be feeling sorry for yourself or to be miserable. Now, mind you, bad things happen. And that's what I'm saving it for. I know people are like, Daliah, are you ever sad? Are you ever upset? Oh, I got upset about stuff. Now, I get sad. I don't get sad a lot, but I'm saving it up. Hey, because I know bad things are going to happen. My cat, who has been with us 18 and a half years and is going to be turning 19, my little shaky boo, he's going to go one day. I mean, I keep asking him if he wants to go to the farm. He doesn't want to go, but eventually he's going to be going to the farm. I might be losing other family members as they age. And I'm going to be flipping devastated. And knowing that there are going to be things that are going to devastate me. I mean, I look at my mom. My mom had a rough life growing up. And she and I have had a very rough relationship based on my childhood. But I respect her. I admire her for what she went through during her childhood. And for the most part, we get along. But she's my mom and I love her. And she recently got a diagnosis where she is losing her eyesight rapidly than she had hoped. And that's not easy. It's not easy. And you know what? She's not acting miserable. She's still being positive. She's still working. She notified work. Work's like, I can't believe you still want to work, because she's a workaholic like I am. And she's like, yeah, I want to work. I still want to be a part of this. And I mean, she's in her 80s, for crying out loud. Cancer survivor, all that. That's where I get it from, my energy. And she's always been more positive. I mean, not that I always remember, but in terms of lately about her health, etc. And, so it's all how you look at things. Being a widow, not easy. Losing her brother when she was little to leukemia, not easy. And there are a lot of things in life that could really knock you down. But you have got to concentrate on the happy stuff, because the longer you go through life miserable, the more miserable you're going to be. Now, some of you are miserable because you're not living with your betrothed. And that's a part of it. I think a lot of people got married too young. A lot of people said their vows, and good for them for being oh my gosh, I can't think of the word when you're with your betrothed and you're not cheating on them, and faithful. They're being faithful, but they're living with somebody that they really can't stand and they don't want to be with. Now, we've talked about that. Don't watch these movies. Don't be watching White Lotus going, well, I want to party and I want to have a guy with a six-pack want to sleep with me. That doesn't happen. Okay, that's not going to happen. And so don't let what you're watching on TV warp your reality of what things are. But, if you do feel like you could be in a better relationship, if you do feel like you could be in a better job, that is worth having a conversation. And because there's a chance your spouse could be miserable too. And I don't want anybody getting a divorce. You made a commitment, you have a family, but for a lot of individuals, they're like, look, it's not working. I'm sad. I'm depressed. You're no good to nobody that way. And in fact, there have been a lot of my friends who have separated and they're still close with their ex. They just didn't want to live together. So, there's this research, this article looking at the world's happiest countries. Finland makes the top of the list, 8th successive year in a row. Denmark comes in 2nd, Iceland 3rd, Sweden 4th. So these Nordic countries dominate. UK came in 23rd, according to Daily Mail. The USA, 24th place. And they're behind Israel. Israel is number 8, despite the ongoing conflict in the region. Well, maybe it's because, being part Israeli myself, maybe it's because we don't sweat the little stuff. And my father was always blown away he's like, you're crying over BS. I mean, I grew up with people wanting to bomb us and annihilate us. And, just always running to bomb shelters. Okay, what are you crying for? And it really put things into perspective. And so it's fascinating that in Israel, they're number 8 and USA falls lower. And here we are, we feel relatively safe. We don't feel like another country or multiple countries want to descend on us and behead our babies or rape our women and fund Gaza and fund Hamas to take our innocent kibbutz residents. So look, it's okay to be sad. It's okay to be in the dumps. It's okay to feel sorry for yourself. In fact, you should have a pity party when it's warranted. You got to go through a grieving process. You are allowed to say this sucks. When you do undergo a health issue or a work issue or something or a dump or being dumped, that's okay. But then move on. Brush yourself off. And you got to keep going. If you can't, get some help. There's a lot of things out there that doctors can help you with, whether it's therapy, whether it's medication. Great therapists out there. But if you do feel like you're more miserable than not, make a plan to start working on that and let us help you. 1-877-DOC-DALI.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by right now. They'll tell you if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-910-7500. That's 800-910-7500. Call now to find out how much your case could be worth.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center. May not be available in all states.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems. For example,
Diesel fuel cetane levels.
the cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
Self-reliance. It's not a phrase we hear much in our culture these days. It might conjure up images of pioneers, the West, rifles, strapping men, and strong women. But what does it mean for us in today's world? The New American Magazine has just released its latest collector's edition, Self-Reliance, Foundation of Freedom. In it, the New American authors outline the necessity of self-reliance for a free people, tips for self-reliant living, and the importance of not giving up hope. This unique edition includes articles on the self-sufficiency of the founders, preparing for a worst-case scenario, firearms, financial self-reliance, the importance of community, and many other topics by expert writers. Now, for a limited time, the New American is offering a bundle of 3 collector's editions, Self-Reliance, The Great Reset, and Trump World, for just $19.95. Available at shopjbs.org. Visit shopjbs.org today.
All right, we are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. Byron said he missed what I said, if I commented at all, about Wicked and Snow White. And can I repeat the segment, although I don't think I really talked much about Wicked, but I don't mind that being brought up now, because I am kind of seeing something that I've kind of felt strongly about. So one thing I feel strongly about is keeping politics out of, our shows and Hollywood. Now, if you do want to have a political show, something on JFK, something on Reagan, something on Martin Luther King, something on Bernie Sanders and his lawn chair or whatever he was sitting on, called that meme that you always see. You could do that. But when somebody goes in to see a show or a movie, and it's under false pretenses. Like, okay, we are going to, talk to you about, like, I got really upset at that postcard. A lot of people did. People walked out of that postcard movie that the Sphere was showing, where I thought the Sphere experience was going to be where you saw all the beautiful flowers and insects and the visual imagery. And instead they made it a story about how we're overpopulated and population is ruining the earth and earth needs to shut down and we need to start new on a new planet. And I'm like, don't be doing that to me. Okay, I want to know the product I'm buying. If I'm going to be going into something and I think it's going to be an escape from politics, don't be then shoving politics in. So that's my issue. I guess there was a lot of back and forth on Wicked. And some people loved it. They thought it was absolutely amazing. Other people thought, I still haven't seen it yet. I just haven't had time to go to the movies. And I'll watch it. But somebody had kind of asked about why Wicked even existed. Why did they go back and alter such an iconic story? I don't mind that. I know a lot of people are critical that Wicked goes and turns the Wicked Witch. Basically what Wicked is it goes back, and the Wicked Witch of the West, even though she was wicked, was she always wicked? What made her wicked? Was it the way society treated her? Was she really wicked? Why did she later become that way? Is it because the way she was bullied? And so the play Wicked that I think came out in the 90s, the story came out in the 90s, great play, goes back to show the prequel to it and how she became wicked. I don't mind that. I like prequels. Now, I think The Wizard of Oz is an amazing story. I don't think it takes away from that. Are there a lot of politics? And are there a lot of, she was green and so she was, there could be. But, why did somebody become this way? Why did she become wicked? She obviously cared about her sister who got crashed by the house during the tornado. There is a backstory. So I thought the idea of Wicked, not bad at all. I haven't seen the movie. I don't know. I know there was a controversy because somebody had remade the poster to look more like the Bill play or the how the play in New York and the head actress was kind of upset because she said that they were trying to erase her when basically it was, So I know there was a lot of back and forth, and I don't want to see drama. We want Hollywood to be there for us having an escape. And so, some people had an issue with Wicked because, well, is there good and bad? Is there no evil? Is everything in between? Is there, I don't know. I haven't seen it, so I don't know if they changed the story. But I kind of liked the story, and I didn't mind it. But yes, if it is supposed to be some, I don't know, socialism manifesto, it went over my head. So I don't know. With Snow White, that was, again, I think another, making a movie out of an old Disney classic. Somebody said the reason why they're doing that is because it allows them to then gain the copyright again. That these older movies and these older things that are almost 100 years old will lose or are losing. Disney is, I guess, losing the rights. So they have to make movies so that they get to own the rights again. I don't know much about that. But I know that Snow White made headlines when they decided to get rid of the dwarves. And dwarves spoke out saying, look, people with achondroplasia are like, look, this is how we have work. And we, have Peter Dinklage spoke out against, the dwarf story. And then they were like, okay, then fine. Then we won't do dwarves. We'll make them magical creatures. And then people with achondroplasia and dwarves were like, what the hell are you doing? Now you're putting us out of work. Don't speak for us. So there was a lot of back and forth with that. My issue is, I guess Rachel Ziegler had made some comments allegedly pro-Hamas. From what I understand, Rachel Ziegler and Gal Gadot don't get along too well, as Gal Gadot had been very supportive of Israel and trying to get the hostages back. So I think a lot of people, if they don't like the star, Rachel Ziegler is very talented, but do you really need to remake the Snow White story? I think a problem we have with Hollywood is they're just running out of creative ideas. I was taught in school that there's only 11 true stories, and everything we've seen or read is an adaptation of that. Good versus evil, somebody good, and then they all of a sudden do something bad, and then they go to a dark side, and then they have to redeem themselves. Or somebody good and then they turn into bad, or there's the concepts at its most basic atomic level is there's 11 stories and everything is an adaptation of that. And the Aladdin remake I thought was fantastic, and so I don't mind if they do remake. I think How to Train Your Dragon, it's a little too soon for them to redo that movie, but they did. It was a good movie. And again, it's a way for them to make money if they want to spend money, if they're under budget, whatever. But I would like to see, I would like to see like Squid Game. I know it's pretty barbaric, but that's a pretty new story. They say, by the way, Squid Game was supposed to be patterned after, was it in the 80s where there was a kind of a prison system where they would have the inmates play games against each other. And they think that might have been where Squid Game got its roots. But no, Squid Game is not a true story from what I understand. But I think there's a lot of things you could do, like the Hunger Games, things like that can make movies that are new. And I know Indiana Jones, please, no more sequels of that. I don't know if I would make any more Jurassic Park sequels. You're killing the franchise. Stop it already. And so, Hollywood eventually learns their lesson when they lose money. But right now, for those of you looking as an escape, you almost feel like you really need to get through the false advertising. Because while you're watching it, something then sneaks in. And they decide to make a big deal. Like White Lotus. White Lotus, I think it's a fantastic series. But they had to spend a good 15 minutes making somebody feel so bad that they voted for Trump. Really? What does that have to do with the White Lotus? You guys had something good going, and you really had to start bringing up Biden or Trump? Nobody wants to think about Biden or Trump when they're trying to escape into Thailand. And, it's ridiculous what they're doing. So I didn't really say much on it. I have not seen Wicked. I have not seen Snow White. I think Snow White comes out in theaters. From what I hear, she did a good job. From what I hear, the reviews are mixed. Some people said it sucked. Some people said it was nice. I really don't care. I get my entertainment, from, cinema, from Max and HBO Max and all those other things. 1-877-Doc-Dolly. Don't go away.
Did you know that healthy arteries make a gas? Yes, actually 3 known gases. Hi, I'm Dr. Mitch, and nitric oxide is a gas that's readily made all day long to keep our arteries open by relaxing the blood vessel walls. By doing this, our circulation is increased, bringing blood, oxygen, and nutrients to every part of your body. Both age and poor diet can lead to a loss of this precious gas, and in turn, blood pressure can go up, energy can go down, and you can get tingling in your hands and feet. Well, our product, Ultimate Nitric Oxide, can easily help fix this lack of nitric oxide. Go to TotalWellness.com. That's TotalWellness.com, where we are helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.